Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two cousins who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Monica.
And, I don't even know where to start about our week because we just spent 2 hours talking about Twilight and Marvel.
Yeah.
And Barbie movies.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a pretty interesting conversation. I feel like me and Mary Kate took a BuzzFeed quiz that said, what Disney character and Twilight character represents you the most? And I feel like both of ours are very accurate. You want to share your results with the class, Mary Kate?
I got Alice Cullen, obviously, and Tinkerbell, obviously. So,
and then I got Bella Swan and Megra. So, I mean, I'm a badass, but I also kind of hate myself.
I'm just really tiny and want you to pay attention to me.
The accuracy. And so we were taking that. They were also talking about a lot of other obscure tests that you can play on BuzzFeed about Twilight. I highly recommend playing this one, saying what oddly specific thing from Eclipse are you based on your Halloween preferences. And I got Robert Pattinson's Sideburns, and I just feel like I really identify with that.
I don't.
I would gladly be on the side of his face. No questions asked. I love Robert Pattinson so much. Robert Pattinson, if you're listening to this, hi. I'm Monica. I'm 20 years old.
No. Robert Pattinson would not listen to this because we talk about Twilight. We talk about Twilight so much that he would rather blow his brains out than listen to it.
Facts.
There is no one alive who hates Twilight more than Robert Pattinson.
That is very true. Like, he really hates the whole series. Like, he hates the whole thing. And that's why when people get mad that there won't be a Midnight Sun movie, I'm like, bro, first of all, he's not actually a vampire. He's aged. 2, he hates Twilight. 3, I think he'd rather die than come back and reprise the role that almost completely destroyed his career.
But also, like, yes, it's different, and we see Edward's point of view and blah, 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 but it's the same plot.
Yeah, it's literally the exact same story. You're just seeing Edward's point of view of it. Where I'm like, I don't think we need to remake that, because all we're going to see is we're going to go from a very drab Bella to a Bella that's completely idolized. So, because the point of view of both of how they look at Bella are completely different. That's the
hashtag unreliable narrators.
Yes, for sure. Because there's no thought about Bella to give her a fair judgment.
Yeah. This week, I only taught for 3 days. We had a long weekend in Thailand. So that was nice. Of course, on those 3 days, they were awful. Including, if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should, at Death and Aliens. But if you do follow us on Twitter, you will see the story of when I got roasted by an 8-year-old.
Dude, children are brutal. They are so brutal.
So Courtney texts me about The Bachelorette. And my watch goes off in class. And so my kids asked me what happened, because like I looked at it and then I just didn't answer it. And I was like, oh, my friend just texted me about a TV show. And they were like, oh, what TV show? And I was like, it's called The Bachelor. And they were like, what's it about? And I said, because granted, we're not in America. Nobody knows what The Bachelor is here.
Yeah.
But it's about a show where like people are kind of sad and lonely and they want to find a husband. And this little boy, this 8-year-old little boy, without missing a beat, goes, oh, so it's a show about you.
Damn, he came for your whole life. That's the one thing about kids. They will find your deep-seated, like, most, like...
Oh, exactly. And when, as he said that, John Mulaney appeared in my head screaming, no, that's the thing I'm sensitive about.
Yeah, man, kids are brutal. I'll tell you. Like, I can't even fathom what it would be like to work in a classroom.
So then the next day I told them that if they didn't listen to me, oh no, it was the same day, it was later the same day. I told them that if they didn't learn how to listen to me, they would grow up stupid and then they wouldn't be able to get a job, so they wouldn't have a house or a PlayStation. And they cried.
So, you're bullying children.
They bullied me first.
See, so my week, not a lot has happened. I've been watching Schitt's Creek a lot, making my way through that. Me and my boyfriend were watching some of it last night. I actually got teared up at a few of the episodes. It's funny, and it's also very emotional and, like, real, and, like, you can see the character development and the way that the characters are written are really well. First two episodes are, like, kind of like, but then you start hearing some of the shit that, like, Dan Levy's character starts to say, and you're like, oh my god. Like, Eugene Levy, who plays Johnny Rose, comes out in a nightshirt and into the, because they're living in a motel right now, and they have a conjoined room where there's a door. So he comes in to tell them that the ceiling's leaking, and then David turns around, which is Dan Levy's character, and goes, you got a whole, like, Ebenezer Scrooge thing going on with a nightgown. And then, so then they have, like, a little bit of a back and forth, and then John goes to leave the room, and he is like, my best wishes to Bob Cratchit. And he rolls over and goes to bed, and I fucking lost it. I was like, that is how solid lines.
No offense to your storytelling, but I don't know that there's anyone alive on planet Earth who hasn't watched Schitt's Creek yet.
True.
Just kidding, I haven't watched it, but...
It's so funny. It literally just makes you feel like that was going to be a new comfort show when The Office gets taken off of Netflix.
My shows that I watched this week, I watched The Bachelorette, obviously. Grey's Anatomy, obviously. Grey's Anatomy was emotional this week. It was tough. I watched The Amazing Race. And I watched MacGyver.
Yep.
I love MacGyver. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know why I just randomly decided to watch the, like, MacGyver reboot when it started in 2015, but I got, like, really invested in it. And I also think Lucas Till may be one of the most beautiful men on this planet. His jawline just does things to me that I cannot explain in words.
No, Mary Kate, he's not the most beautiful man on the planet. He is. It's Adam Driver, for the people who aren't watching. Yeah, if you don't watch the videos of our things, first of all, kind of good because you don't get to see how terrible I look in the morning, but also you don't get to see Adam Driver, pop in and say hi every episode.
What you're really missing, if you're only listening to this in the audio form, is the number of times I roll my eyes at Monica.
You're not wrong. Oh, and you also miss Boo, my dog.
Oh, hello, Boo.
Standing on my shoulder. Okay, okay.
Wow, big stretch. Good stretch.
He doesn't know personal space, so he just kind of does this.
So yeah, this week was
something
It
else.
is what it is.
Exactly. If you are anything like me and Mary Kate, you don't know how to properly process things that have happened to you, so you just say it is what it is for things that definitely shouldn't be something that is what it is. And that's like the spicy.
I wish I could say the little star emojis.
Same. I know I do this.
Trauma.
Also, I look so bad today.
The combination of the heat in Thailand and the lights in my room just make me look like I decided that highlighter was my foundation.
Bro, with the gloominess of outside and the twinkle lights behind me, I decided I'm Bella Swan. Plain and simple. Got them a lot cooler.
Also, speaking of lies I tell children, I blew my nose today, and the kids were like looking at me like I was insane because I blow my nose incredibly loudly. And I was like, oh, didn't you guys know my dad is an elephant and my mom is a mermaid? And this poor little 6-year-old boy goes, really?
I honestly love how pure that is. I really love how pure that is.
He was so convinced. He then told me he was going to make a hamburger and took wafer paper, like candy paper, and put a potato chip inside the candy paper and ate it. It was a hickory barbecue potato chip and a tutti frutti piece of candy. And he was living his best life.
Children. I can't really judge. I used to, in like kids' cuisines, I used to dip my nuggets into the pudding. It was so good. And I still dip my nuggets in the frosty part of a Wendy's root beer float. So, say what you want, but I'm classy.
I dip my chicken nuggets in honey.
Okay, cool. So we're both the same.
No. It's still sweet, but it's not vanilla flavored or chocolate flavored.
Nah, that shit be hitting. I almost bought a kid's cuisine so I could relive that memory. But I didn't because they're $5. Like, guess what, son? I'm just going to buy the big bag of Tyson chicken nuggets and chocolate pudding cups. And guess what? You're going to have to make your own kid's cuisine.
If you want to be broke life, do not waste your money on chocolate pudding cups. Either buy instant pudding and make it yourself, or buy the big Cozy Shack tubs of pudding. Don't waste your money on the expensiveness and the plastic waste that is pudding cups.
That's very fair. You know what? Big brain Mary Kate. I like it.
I'm really good at saving money. So for those of you who don't know, I live in Thailand, which I only say it every 15 minutes. And in Thailand, we have this place called Daiso. I know it's not only in Thailand, it's in a bunch of places in Asia, but it's like a dollar store. Only it's even cheaper than $1. It's a 20 baht store, and 20 Thai baht equals about 65 cents in US dollars. And I bought this lipstick there.
And it's honestly, it looks really nice.
It's like the best quality lipstick I've ever had. For 65 cents.
I mean, for 65 cents and it works, you ain't gonna catch me complaining. And, so, what was I gonna say?
I mean, mostly, I'm just avoiding starting to talk about Hemlock Grove because the beginning of this episode was a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely strange. For sure. But you want to know what we got to do? You got to take that Band-Aid and rip it off. Because here's the thing. Once this is done, I am going and getting leftover pizza from last night, coming back into my bed with another can of Diet Pepsi, laying down, and watching the Barbie Diaries. And I hope that all of you respect my decision.
I will probably watch some more episodes of with Trixie and Katya and laugh till I cry.
I love that.
Also, okay, these episodes don't come out when we record them, so by the time this comes out, it will have been about a week, but the cast for the new season of Drag Race was announced, and one of my friends is on it.
Yay!
I'm very, very excited.
Oh, that's so much fun.
But I'm also nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Wayne and I were having very long thoughts this morning about the entrance looks. So.
That's her.
Hemlock Grove.
Hemlock Grove.
Season 2. Episode 7.
Only 3 more episodes left, guys, of this season. And then we're on to season 3, and then guess what? Bye-bye, Hemlock Grove. Toodly doodle.
This episode was...
Oh,
no, go.
I say, technically, we only have like 13 actual episodes of the whole show left to watch.
Yeah.
That's really weird. So,
Which means that 13 episodes with a season 2 wrap up and in-betweener episode, and then a season 3 wrap up and show wrap up and in-betweener episode. That's 5 extra episodes. That's 18 weeks until whatever comes next.
Exactly.
Which we do have some ideas that we've tossed around, but we have not decided on anything yet because 18 weeks is like more than 4 months.
Yeah, and by that point, Mary Kate will be. I think you come home the day that day after we aired the last episode for this show, right?
I have no idea when I'm coming. I mean, like I have a general time frame, but I could not tell you what day I'm coming home. So no, I have no idea.
And plus, when we're here together and our schedules are more synced up, and we can actually
we can record not 8 days before we publish.
Yeah, and so we can get a more closer in person, like closer in time.
So that our pop culture references of the week make sense.
Exactly. And then we'll all actually be able to record ourselves together and not over a laptop screen. And the audio will most likely be a lot better as well.
Yeah. The video will probably be better too because we won't be relying on 2 separate internet connections to not fuck us over.
Exactly. And that's always fun. Trust me, from the episodes you've probably listened to when one of our internet is just like, nope, and just pieces out middle of the conversation.
The other thing is I cut all of those out. I cut every time the internet goes out. Mm-hmm. So y'all have no idea how bad the struggle really is.
Oh, yeah. No, and it sucks when me and Mary Kate are on like a really good flow and we're getting all of our ideas together. We're having like really good conversation about the show. And then it's like one of us just freezes.
Last week's episode that happened, and I went on a rant and then I couldn't finish it. And then when you came back in and I went to repeat the rant, I couldn't remember what I said. So Guess which of those 2 rants is in the podcast? The one that I didn't know what the fuck I was saying.
Yeah. And that's the only sucky thing about doing this over the phone, but like when we're in person together, it's gonna be a lot different. Holy crap.
Also, it's probably gonna be a lot shittier because we're gonna be less likely to actually have intelligent conversation because we'll be too busy laughing at each other.
Yeah. Because I'll probably do some, I feel like it's gonna emanate. Oh my god, we're literally gonna be Jenna and Julian.
Except for, no, we're going to be Jenna and Julian in the videos where they do acrylic painting and Julian like realizes that there's a way to keep his Aries-ness in line and Jenna's too much Jean takes all of her body over.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's how that's going to happen. And I'm just really excited for us to actually be able to film in person because this is going to be some behind the scenes stuff, but every week that we record, me and Mary Kate will have a gigantic plate of crab rangoons in front of us and we will be watching the show right before we film it together. So it's going to be real quick. So like, cause there are times like when we watch it, if I watch it the night before or she does, and like the past 2 episodes, like I've called Mary Kate or texted her about it and like, yo, like what? And it'll be so nice because we won't have to wait for it. And like we're dealing with all this stuff fresh and buzzing and we can just go right into ranting and talking.
And depending on how we set up audio, we could even do live reacting. Because like now we can't do like a live podcast because we have no way to filter the show audio separate from our audio because Zoom meetings. But when we are doing it in person, there is ways to do not both audios at the same time.
And honestly, if we were to do a whole show discussion while watching it, I have a feeling it would make it really long because I feel like we would pause it like every 3 seconds and go like, yo, what the hell is that? Like, why is this a thing? And then...
that's me watching this episode every week.
And the only thing is that God forbid we find episodes like we did last season where there was like 4 in a row where I was just like, I don't think that happened, I guess. Like, whatever. Like, I would hate to have people just watching go, like, dead face and just be like, what the fuck? I would hate it for being a boring episode.
Yeah, we probably won't do every week as a commentary style, but, like, bonus episodes might be commentary style.
Yeah. Or if we did, like, our movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the in-betweener episodes might be commentary style.
That would be fun. Because when we did Halloween, it went in 18 different...
Oh, yeah. When we did our Halloween episode, I don't think we talked about the movie Halloween.
No, we didn't. We started to, and then we talked a little bit about it here and there, and then it was like, but here's a bunch of just random stuff. Here's me and Mary Kate basically having a normal conversation.
Speaking of Halloween, though, I have to tell you, so one last tangent, and then I promise we're going to talk about this show. So my students, we're learning about soil right now, which is as boring as it sounds, but all of the grade 3s in the school, we're making a compost bin, like collectively. And so we set it up and we learned how to make it this week. And the school gave us a plastic bin, but you can't just put things in a plastic bin and leave them. Like, you have to have aeration in the plastic bin. And I didn't, casually have a drill at school with me. So I went to the cooking classroom and borrowed a butcher knife to put holes in a heavy-duty plastic bin. So I was like Michael Myersing the plastic bin, and all my boys were just surrounded me, and they were like, Miss MK, what are you doing? And then I stabbed myself and on accident with the, not with the point of the knife. I hit the plastic too hard, and the bottom of the knife came like ricochet backward into my hand.
That little part at the top by the handle.
Yeah. So then my teaching partner took the knife away from me, and he was like, just let me do it. I was like, what? You can't stab plastic like a serial killer and expect it to work? Also, on the note of serial killers, did anybody have solving the Zodiac Killer's crypt cipher on their 2020 bingo card? Because that happened. What? Oh, yeah. I don't know what time you went to bed last night, but the Zodiac Killer cipher has been solved.
We're going to have to unpack this after the show because I have so many questions. So many questions.
Speaking of serial killers, Hemlock Grove.
Let's get into this.
This episode was called Lost Generation, which I don't fucking understand.
Me neither. I was trying to figure out if it was about the granddaughter. I was like...
I mean, maybe it's about Roman?
I was just going to say, like, maybe it's about losing Roman as part of her Upierism family, but...
I don't know.
Or it could be Shelley literally lost. And now she's
no, but this episode she came back, so it doesn't make sense.
True.
It came out on July 11th, 2014, and it was rated 7.8 stars, which is the new highest of the season. I looked into the review breakdown, and men over the age of 45 rated it the highest of any demographic.
I think I know why.
I don't.
When Norman comes back to steal Lizzie.
Okay, no. It was directed by David Strayton, who directed 2 episodes in season 1, which were Calabasas and What Peter Can Live Without, which were actually our 2 favorite episodes of season 1. But also, ironically, in the episode that David Strayton directed, Calabasas, there was this big nugget of information dropped on us and then promptly forgotten. And now, literally 16 episodes later, they were like, oh, you're coming back, so maybe we can talk about it now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was written by Jennifer Haley, who wrote Gone Sis, which was the 2nd episode this season, but she's also the season 2 story editor, so.
Yeah. Everything, once again, about this season very, very cohesive.
Yes.
It feels like the first season was just a game. Like, it was more like, let's see what works. Let's throw it at a wall,
Yeah.
see what.
Well,
And
and it's interesting because I have read a review that said that after watching season 1, they went to read the book to see if maybe the book explained it better. And the book was actually worse than season 1. I mean, that was one blog. That was one blog that I read. So, like, I'm not.
didn't see anything with the
Because
writing, but
also, most of the reviews we've read have said season 2 is significantly worse than season 1, and I would not agree with that.
me neither. I think
Yeah.
I think the reason why people like season 1 is the people who read the book and they're like, oh, this is just as confusing, so I know what's
Well,
going on.
and I think season 1 has the air of mystery to it, where there's not as much mystery, I guess, in this. It's just more fucked up.
Yeah. It's more a lot of like, it's turned instead of I feel like it's more of a drama with thriller aspects instead of a thriller with drama aspects. I feel like this season is very drama driven, where because the first season we learned about all these characters and we started gaining attraction and connection to each character, and to see their stories progress, and especially with how everything was left in season 1 in such a fucked up manner, I think they're doing the right thing by taking the avenue.
And something that Monica and I had been talking about before we started recording was in this episode, a lot of not so good things happen to Olivia, and obviously we will talk about them as we talk about the episode. But I was saying, can you imagine at the end of season 1, episode 7, if people had been messing with Olivia, we would have been rooting for them.
Yeah.
But now, by the end of this episode, we're not happy with anyone who's working against Olivia. And like, that is purely a credit to the writing of this season, because her character development and her character arc is so much more human.
Because literally with Olivia being an Upier, she just basically didn't feel things. She didn't convey human emotion properly.
But part of the problem was we didn't know enough about Upir in the first season to understand that. We just saw her as a bitch.
Exactly. And now that it's weird seeing someone who is so strong and powerful in such a vulnerable spot, and she's been in such a vulnerable spot and it only keeps declining, and now all this stuff that's happening to her is like, that's kind of shitty. And like, and it sucks because me and Mary Kate, when we talk about the one scene that comes up, me and Mary Kate, we both see each other's sides, but we each take the opposing person's side in a way, where it's like, I understand where she comes from with it and she understands where I come from with it. And it's one of those things where it's like, at that point you're kind of stuck, where you're like, you feel shitty for both of the people involved.
Yeah.
Like, no one's wrong, no one's right in either scenario. And it's just like,
the gray in this season is intense, for sure.
Yeah.
So, the blurb for this episode says, I liked the blurb this time, actually. A family reunion unfolds with layers of typical Godfrey dysfunction. Peter and Roman's quest to save lives forces them to reveal their true natures.
Yes. Which I didn't know how literal that last part would be.
Oh, I did, but I thought it was going to be a conversation.
I see, because I didn't read the blurb. I just kind of hit play. Because when normally we do it, you'll tell me the blurb. And it's normally shit anyway. And so I didn't know that. And I thought, like, I got hints of it in the episode. I thought they were going to, confide into someone. They did without knowing in a way, because they're dumb bitches, but we'll get there when we get there.
So, the episode opens on our trio of lovers in bed.
Post-coitus.
And then we zoom in on Miranda, and she is having a fucked up premonition dream.
Mm-hmm. like swing sets, little boy swinging on the swing set, and she's like watching them, and like people shoveling snow outside the house,
And then Peter and Roman running around, and then the mask dude there, and then I literally was like, what in the actual fuck was that dream? And whose was it? Can Miranda see the cult people now too?
Yeah. I was just like, how is Miranda tied into all of the dream stuff? Yeah, this episode really made me go, I don't like you. There was one part where I felt bad for her, but then never again. Like, especially after the end of this episode, nope.
Ugh. But then I have a funny note next, because as she's like waking up from this dream, they are giving, it's like a radio talking about the traffic, and it says there's a delay on the 90 and to just stay away from there. And I literally laughed, and I was like, there's always delays on the 90.
Yep. And we get a shout out this episode.
Oh, I have lots to say about that.
That was real strange, because I was like, that is not here. That is not here. It's literally, I'm pretty sure, the same skyline as we've seen.
No, it was accurate.
It was? Yeah. It didn't look like
it was, because it was from a fucking weird angle. But it was, no, I have things to say about that part.
That's fair. But I did make sure I wrote a diligent note after the opening credits scene, after the weird dreams, that Peter's trying to simply make coffee and he just can't figure out this coffee machine, so Roman has to show him. And it's honestly condescending. Like, it's like, you're a fucking dumbass, but I love you type of thing. And I was like, why is that kind of cute? I'm like, aw. My
note for this scene just says they are so awkward.
Yeah.
Because they
eat some leafy greens.
No. I know, this is the scene before she gets there. Just the boys. So awkward. So Peter can't make his coffee, and Roman has to make it for him. And then they're both just, like, awkwardly standing there, not looking at each other. And Peter's like, so, about last night. And Roman goes, yeah, that was, unexpected. He was like, yeah, unexpected. Yeah. I'm like, you boys, you touched things. It's okay.
No.
Oh, but then my next note says I hate her.
Yeah, Miranda comes in acting like what happened last night wasn't...
Okay, she comes in and kisses them both on the cheek. And then it's like, I really want some leafy greens. Dr. Smithwick says we don't have enough riboflavin in our diet. Oh my god, I had the weirdest dream. And then the boys are still just like, the fuck. But now they're like, the fuck about her dream, and they're confused. And she goes, I don't understand. It's the 21st century. And then she goes, what happens between us? Well, among us. I think if it's more than two, it's among. And she's like, just talking. And then they're both, the boys are like, we're gonna go.
They were going to say good morning to my child.
And they run upstairs to have a girl talk.
Yeah. And then they're both like, what the fuck? About basically everything that just happened. And they're like, why is she having dreams too? And then so Peter wants to tell her that they're all having like similar dreams. And Roman's like, no, absolutely not. Because once she starts asking more questions, like the more she's going to find out. Like, when, like, where's it going to stop?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought Peter was the one who said, if we tell her, then where does it stop?
Oh, it might have been reversed.
Yeah, I just don't remember who, but I think they're both like, we want to tell her, but we also don't want to tell her. Like, neither one of them is like, let's go for it. They're both like, shit, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And then Norman calls, and Roman's like, Norman, I can't talk right now. I've got things going on. And Peter just leaves.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, what's up? And then it cuts to a scene.
It cuts to the police station.
And Peter is talking to Chasseur and telling him basically Miranda's dream. It's like, yeah, I have a dream. Here's all this stuff. And he pinpoints, because there was about a stained glass image that was there, and he pinpoints out who made the stained glass, where was his studio, and he figures out it's somewhere in Ohio. Like, they know the exact place. I can't remember the city or whatever.
And I didn't catch this at first. Like, I paused it to take a note, and then I was like, oh, shit, because Chester was like, honestly, I don't really care about your dreams right now because I have to deal with a break-in. There was a break-in last night, and there's 1 dead, 2 injured. And
my question is, they said that 1 was dead, and it was one that got shot in the chest.
Yeah.
But we know it's about when Shelley...
Yeah. It was. I said the break-in was Jason says. The dude who got impaled is apparently in critical condition but not dead. And also the other lady who I never thought she was dead.
The one who was just through the table?
Yeah. I never thought she was dead. I always thought she was unconscious. So she's also in critical condition. That jaw impaling, that is a crazy thing to have lived through.
Yeah. And also, bad news for Shelley if they make it out. And that scares me. Yeah, it scares me, but it doesn't scare me. Because of
Honestly,
what...
I'm not even worried about Shelley in that situation. Bad news for Jason if those people don't die.
True. Facts.
Like, I mean, also bad news for him that his whole family is dead, but, like, could you imagine having to go back to his stepdad after that?
Yeah. Oh my God. His stepdad would probably kill him. Like, literally. And, so after Peter's talking to Chestor, he's like, he tells him that Roman's also having these dreams. And Chestor's oddly prickish, and he's like, I told you not to withhold anything from me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, bro, I'm telling you myself, I'm like, they're basically the same dreams. Like, there's no other distinct information between us.
I was so mad at Peter for telling him that, because we don't know if we can trust Michael. So why are you giving... Like, I get that you want to solve the case. I get that you don't want anybody else to get hurt. But, like, why do you gotta involve people and their drama and their business with someone you don't trust?
And I feel like this is going to be proven not helpful based on what happens later in the episode.
Yeah.
But Peter gives him all this information, and then so Chestor ends up leaving, and Peter wants to go with him to Ohio to look at this. And he's like, I'm not having someone who has a rap sheet. Like,
oh, yeah, he said, I'm not letting a civilian psychic with a rap sheet tag along on a police investigation.
And then he's like, if I see you, it's like, if you try and do any more of this shit, like, I'm going to say that you're tampering with, like, he's like, I can put you on arrest for tampering with investigation. And I was like, yeah, Michael, you're kind of a dick.
Super. Then we go to the White Tower, and Roman is in the elevator, and Olivia joins him in the elevator, and they are being all prickly at each other, and we realize that Norman did not inform them why he needed them to come to the tower. And Roman is convinced that Norman is trying to force them to do family therapy.
He's like, I already told him I didn't want to do family therapy.
So they get off the elevator, and Norman comes around the corner with Shelley.
And me and Mary Kate both said that we both teared up during this scene.
Teared up a little bit. Well, and then she said, I missed you. And Roman's face when she talked, I couldn't. And Olivia was crying. And it was a lot of emotions.
And then when she said Roman's name, he got so excited. He's like, say it again. Say it again. And I was like, and then she was like, Roman, you look tired. And I was like, no. It was so cute. It was so sweet. And I literally have a note, because later on in the episode, basically anyone that Shelley is like seeing at the present moment, she brings out legit the best in every single character. The absolute best.
I used to think that, but now I don't think that anymore.
I still think so, because I know, because
you know what I'm upset about. You know what I'm upset about, but it's a really sweet moment, and Olivia is like genuinely crying, and and she asks Shelley like where she's been, like how she's been surviving, and Shelley's like, I have so much to tell you, and she's like, and I want to hear all of it. Mm-hmm. And Roman's like, The fuck you do, bitch.
He ain't having any of it.
No, he does not trust that woman. Which, like, I don't blame him. I don't blame him, but, like, he's never seen her cry before in his entire life. How is he going to doubt that? Like, that's what frustrates me. She's legitimately crying.
And that is fair. I just think he's scared because he knows how she was with Shelley beforehand, and Shelley also...
No, of course. He's trying to protect her. Also, he hates her. So...
Yes. And you know what Shelley did to... Not Shelley, what Olivia did to him. And that Shelley is completely unaware of what her family really is. I think she has no clue. Yeah. Or if so, very little.
Yeah.
Because there's no way.
Then we get a flash to Peter arriving home. And Destiny's like, whoa, dude, where have you been? And he won't answer her. And he's like, and Destiny gets mad. She's like, you slept with her again. And Peter's still ignoring her. And she's like, you know she's just using you and she's trying to play you against Roman. She's like trying to warn Peter again. And Peter just goes, we're all very cool with each other.
And then Destiny goes, wait, what? And he slams the door in her face.
And I literally had to stop the episode. I was laughing so hard.
I love
the way he said it. He was like, we are all very cool with each other. And I was like,
I was like, oh, fuck. That's one way of saying.
But also, I love how Destiny immediately knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, who is surprised?
No one. Not even his own cousin. And so after this little hee-hee ha-ha moment, we go back to Roman and Olivia in the room that Shelley's in.
Yeah.
And Roman in front of Shelley, which I didn't like that he did this in front of her. He's like, no, he's like, stop acting like you care, like you don't care, you never cared. Like, stop.
Yeah. So they're talking to Shelley about Jason and everything that happened, and they're like, they both promise that they're going to find Jason and they're going to like make sure nothing happens to him. And like, Roman like attacks Olivia, and Olivia's like, you know what? You're right. I have not been a good mom, but like, I have been cold. I have not been demonstrative with feeling. And I think that's just because of how I was brought up. But like, you have to let me try to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, fam.
Roman is not doing this.
And my note for that was that I actually believe that Olivia is trying to be better on account of her basically being human now. Like, she doesn't have much time left. She's feeling everything that she's never felt before. It's like, I genuinely believe that she knows she fucked up. She just doesn't know how to fix it.
Yeah. Like, if she tried to pull this stuff in the first season, I wouldn't have bought it.
No.
But now, knowing what she's going through, yeah.
Yeah.
And Price comes in, both of you out.
Kicks them both out. And then Roman and Price are like still at odds with each other, which I like when they're fighting because it is the wittiest dialogue. Like, it is so good. And Price is like, listen, your sister has multiple gunshot wounds that never healed properly. She's got a hole in her back. And because of all of this infection, her immune system is completely gone. That's why she isn't glowing anymore. Like, she lost her phosphorescence. And the last thing she needs is to deal with your endless loop of fucking family dysfunction.
Yep.
And Roman is like, it pisses me right the fuck off that you are the only person responsible for my sister's peace of mind. And Price is like, there's no one on the planet that I care about more than that girl.
Mm-hmm. And Price is also like, and you're trusting me to do procedures on you.
Right. And Roman's like, well, at least we have one thing in common.
Mm-hmm.
So he pretends to leave and then sneaks back in when Price isn't paying attention and goes to check on Shelley again. And even Shelley believes that Olivia is changing. She's like, no, she's different. And Roman's like, no, she's not. And I'm not going to let her anywhere near you.
Mm-hmm. He's very he's always been extremely protective of Shelley.
Yeah.
And with what happened to her and him knowing what Olivia did to him, it's like it's almost like he has a weird maternal instinct where he's like, no, I need to protect her, because he's basically been her protector her whole life.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know any, and it's weird because I don't think Shelley knows. I think Shelley's hopeful because Olivia is acting like how a mother should act when her daughter is just found, and how if she loves and cares about her. But it's hard for Roman to accept it because
and then Roman says something that I think he is doing it. He says it because he's trying to protect Shelley, but I think it's the harshest thing he's ever said to Shelley, because he straight up says she hasn't thought about you since the day you disappeared. And that is a horrible thing to say to someone about their mother.
Yeah. I just think Roman is letting his own anger, his personal grudge with Olivia interfere in a lot of the way he is taking on certain situations in the show. Because I think that Roman is scared. I think he is really, really scared. And I think with Shelley being back, I think is his one chance at hope of him having his family to where he feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Because
no, go ahead.
Because I mean, if your mom tried to turn you into a vampire, made you rape your cousin's sister, and then also was like, now kill her. I don't know if I would really trust my mother after that one either.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because, Olivia had a lot of fucked up shit that I think, whereas she's expecting them to a degree to be like, it's okay, I forgive you. But I don't think Olivia's...
no. My problem is not, I don't think that they should forgive her clean. Well, no. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. I don't think that, but I don't think that Roman's wrong for being wary. I just think he's wrong for being so aggressive about her lying when it's the only time we've ever seen her genuine.
Exactly.
And with his heightened abilities being an au pair, he should be able to tell that she's being more genuine. And that's what's frustrating to me.
Unless Roman is so cut, because I think he's so cut off to being a new peer that he's like, I'm basically a human with a weird thing, and now since he's getting his treatments done, he only has 2 left till he's full human again.
1 by the end of the episode, but yeah.
And then he's full human again.
If this works, we still don't really know if it's possible.
Well, later on in the episode, we see where, some of it has been changed from what he was beforehand to what he is now.
Well, yes, but I mean, the idea that this could be a forever solution I'm still very wary of that.
That's fair. That is fair. But after this scene, we go to Norman and the PI, correct?
Yes. And she is bringing him some evidence of a murder from 1965 that she thinks Olivia was the perpetrator of. And she is like, yeah, there's this unsolved murder in Buffalo, New York. And I was like, Buffalo, what?
Hell yeah! Gotta love Buffalo. That means Hemlock is very close. It has to be close to...
Yeah, it's between Erie and Pittsburgh.
Oh, then yeah, it's definitely close.
Yeah.
Probably like a 3-hour drive away from us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I know that the 90's always backed up. It's the same road.
Well, then that's what we do. You want to know? When you come back home, we take a trip down to Hemlock. It'll be fun.
Okay, so she's like, there's this murder case, and I think Olivia's fingerprints match the murder case. And Norman's like, 1965. She wasn't even alive then. And
she's like, well, it's the new 60.
She said 60's the new 40, and you don't know what goes on in that. I don't know what goes on in that White Tower. She might be having some kind of experimental treatment. We don't know.
And I was like,
I literally wrote, this is not going to go well.
oh, definitely not.
So they decide to go to Buffalo to find the daughter who is the only witness of this murder.
And when they were talking about it, they said in this whole time, when they ran the fingerprints, they said there were very clear fingerprints at the crime scene, but they could never run anything through the database to find, like they were not in the database at all, to find whoever this person was. And then in the last episode, the PI was, breaking into Olivia's home, which honestly she could get in trouble for because she didn't have a warrant for that.
Yeah.
So honestly, that evidence should be nullified if there's a trial because
it should not be admissible in court.
So they found her fingerprints to like a water bottle and stuff that they found in her house, and they didn't get a match until they ran Olivia's prints. And she's like, I ran 5 times. I even had someone do it by hand to make sure it wasn't a computer error. And she was like, it's Olivia.
Then we go upstairs to Roman's office. And Chasser is waiting there for him. And he's like, so, you've been having weird dreams. And Roman's like, oh, when I fall asleep, I'm dead to the world. I don't remember my dreams. And Chasser's like, you should come with me to Ohio. And he's like, sorry, dude. Got a doctor's appointment. Can't miss. He's like, oh, well, I hope nothing's too wrong. He's like, thanks. I'll call you. Like, you don't call me, I'll call you.
Yeah.
And Chasser is a shady fuck.
Yeah.
He's like, the description of the assailant at the break-in last night sounded a lot like the description Sheriff Sworn gave of your sister. And Roman's like, my sister's dead. And so is Sheriff Sworn. So I really don't know why you're bringing this up. And Michael's like, my sister died too. It's not something you ever get over. Roman's like, can you get the fuck out of my office?
And that's the one thing that I still feel like with Chasseur, we don't know what his true motive is. But it's not like in the cool, fun way that Price is, because he's an enjoyable character. It's in the annoying, like, what do you really need to do here? Like, if you're not working for Lod, are you only here to find Chasseur? And then if you are only here to find your sister, like, to find Clementine, why are you meddling and, like, why are you making everyone seem like an asshole when they're honestly
is shady.
Like, he knows what Peter is. He knows what Roman is. And, like, so to not believe that they could be having weird psychic dreams and to make them feel awful for it, and when they're trying to help, when they're honestly doing the right thing about it, is so infuriating. It irritates me to no belief. And I will never understand it. And, like, you have someone who is trusting in you and giving you information. I don't think Roman or Peter know what happened to Clementine. Because it had nothing to do with them. It was, I think, Peter, I don't think, remembers Olivia killing Clementine. And that, because...
No, he wasn't. He wouldn't have, because he wasn't there. She did it after she let Peter out and put Clementine in the cage.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, she calls Roman and makes him bring Peter to the house, and then so both of them were at the house. They weren't there for any of that. So they know Olivia's the last person to see Clementine, but they don't really know what happened.
Yeah, but that's one thing that if Michael finds that information out after he said that she never knew who Clementine was and never spoke to her.
Well, I already said that her saying that was a terrible choice.
Yeah.
I just hate him almost as much as I hate Miranda.
Same.
Next, we went to
Is it back to Price with
yes,
Shelley?
Price is showing Shelley Priscilla.
But Ouroboros, baby.
And he says that this is a body with no brain mapping, and that he's going to project Shelley's brain onto the body, and this will be the new you. And Shelley is just like, what? He's like, man, I thought I'd get a better reaction than that. And she gives him a really big hug.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet.
It's sweet.
And because like he doesn't want Shelley to be trapped. If Shelley has a new body and pretends to be someone else, she can fit in.
Yeah.
So then Destiny comes to the Godfrey house while Miranda is like putting away groceries and just like being a normal person. And Destiny's like, oh, like nice place you got here, living out your fantasies. And Miranda's like, yeah, just trying to take over the world as a housewife, one casserole at a time.
I will admit, like, I thought that was pretty funny. Because, like, in this scene, this is the only time I do have some sort of sympathy for Miranda. Because, like, I know what Destiny's doing because I know she's looking out for Peter. I completely get it. But the way that she was so... almost like, would I ever be polyamorous? No. But I'm not going to knock someone else who does that. And it was like she was making Miranda feel shitty for doing that, but I know it's because she thinks that she has an ulterior motive to what she's doing with the boys.
Yes, but I think the problem is that there's nothing wrong with consensual relationships in whatever way or form they take.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, I'm not really sure how consensual this is and how comfortable the other parties are.
Yeah.
And it really does seem more like she just wants to have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah. And that is fair. I'm not saying that is wrong either. I just was like, whoa, Destiny's really coming in swinging.
Oh yeah, no, she was coming in hard. And then Miranda pushed Destiny and was like, get out of here. And when she pushed her, their hands touched. And Destiny had a vision that made absolutely no sense to me. There was like blood and snakes and
a girl with like something on her mouth, like a chain on her mouth, like in her skin.
Yeah, and then like a snake going through Miranda's nipple rings, and it was just like
strange.
It was, and Destiny was like, yo, this place is evil, get the F out of here.
Yeah.
And Destiny was like, don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah. And like she was like, because Miranda also felt it. Like she felt what
Des was like, if you don't want to trust me, trust your gut, like trust your feeling.
I trust what you just felt to make that decision.
Yeah. And Miranda got real indignant and threw a fit and kicked Destiny out.
Yep.
And then Roman is on his way to his appointment for his next treatment. And Olivia comes to him and she's like, please don't do this. Like, don't finish these treatments. And he's like, I'm about to go get needles shoved into my eyeballs. And that is a better prospect than continuing to have this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, that's harsh.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to finish this treatment, and as soon as she's old enough, my daughter is too. And Olivia freaks out, and she's like, you can't do that to her. Like, you can't do that to my granddaughter. And she's like, she'll be just like, and he's like, yeah, just like JR. And he's like talking about his dad and how his dad would rather have had a bullet in his head than be married to Olivia. And like, how does she feel that nobody ever wanted her? And he's like, and Olivia's like, yeah, about that. JR's not your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, JR didn't really do shit for this company. It was all me and Price.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's explaining this whole situation, Roman puts two and two together. She never actually says who his father is, but, you know, he already figured it out in his coma dream. And he goes, wait, so that means Letha.
And he finally realizes that he had taken advantage of his sister. And he was like, the fuck? And he gets up, and then Olivia picks him up by the throat, and she's like, how's it feel to be human? And like throws him on the ground.
And I wrote, yes, you are correct, sir. Letha was your sister. Sister is the word you're looking for.
Sister. I will never do that again.
That was so off key.
We didn't talk about it. It's okay.
If you were a bad singer, I would just let it be. But because I know you can sing, I'm just like, girl, what was that?
It was terrible. It was for the joke. It's
Okay.
for the big ha-has. Hopefully all of you at home laughed.
I doubt they did.
Well, it's tragic. Laugh now. You legally have to. Okay, thanks. Then we go to the little boy. Little
Bing.
yeah. We finally see the dream in real life.
And my note for the scene is, holy shit, that is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen.
Yes. I literally said this cult is super fucked.
So the little boy's outside swinging, and his dad calls him inside because he has to take a shot, and it's an allergy shot. And then the cult, the mask guy, goes to the basement and puts a beehive in the furnace and turns it on.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, at this part, I thought it was someone that was part of that family that was doing it. I thought it was the dad at first. I'm like, how did this person get into the house when literally the son and the mom are both sitting in the living room?
No,
And,
I knew what it was because they never showed us the face. They just showed us the hands carrying it. That's how I knew.
I know also, like, oh my God, is the father part of this cult and he has to kill his family as part of the initiation? That's where I thought it was going, because I didn't see the dad in the prior scene, only the mom and the son in the living room. I was like, how the fuck did they get into the house?
I am just so angry about this because I've been angry the whole time about them messing with kids. Like, that is bothering me a lot. But the fact, like, the kid who him and his dad fell down the side of the mountain. Okay, like, painful, but, like, quick. The house exploding. They probably were asleep and then they were dead. Like, you know what I mean? The gunshot. From what I've heard, a gunshot doesn't actually hurt as bad as the pain afterwards. So if you get shot in a way where you die instantly, it's not as painful.
The kid drowning in the tub, that one was pretty rough.
That one was pretty rough. But to get stung repeatedly by bees until you go into anaphylactic shock, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. I was like, well, this is cute. And then we go to a really odd scene after this, where the PI and Norman are on their way.
No. There's one more scene before that, because my next note says the house in Ohio is the wrong place.
Oh, you're right.
So, and I had this feeling before they even showed it. I was like, he's going to be going to the wrong place and he's going to get mad. So Michael goes to the house.
And that house that they showed him, like, it didn't look exactly like the one that they saw.
It didn't look like the house in the dream, so I thought it was wrong from the get-go, yeah. So Michael goes and he calls Peter and he's like, are you just, like, fucking with me now? And Peter's like, no, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, this is not the right place. And so then Peter gets stressed out because he's like, shit, like, now Michael's all the way in who knows where in Ohio, and it's going to be up to me to stop this again. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't know where it is.
All he sees is that in Hemlock Grove there's a big storm coming in, and he, like, gets like, oh, fuck. Like, part of it starts to click for him that he's like, it's probably here.
Well, it's at least close.
Yeah.
So then we go to a scene of the skyline, and it says Buffalo, New York. And it was, in fact, the Buffalo skyline. But also, for those of you who are not from the area of Buffalo, you have to know that the city of Buffalo has gone through a lot of development in the last decade or so, and what the skyline looked like in 2013 and what it looks like now in 2020 is not the same thing. Mm-hmm. Also, they chose the absolute stupidest angle I've ever seen.
I was like, this doesn't look like Buffalo.
No, like it was the HSBC building, and then it was I can't remember, but it's that building that's downtown that has the twin parapet things, and and then there was City Hall, like the peak of City Hall, and so I could tell that it was actually Buffalo. But you know those two buildings that have like that light up green at night?
Yes.
It looked like they took the picture from the top of that building. It was a really strange angle. But also it was like coming at the HSBC building from this way, so you couldn't see the arena or anything on the waterfront because it was all coming at it from this angle. So it looked super off. But it was Buffalo. It was just the strangest angle.
Yeah.
But of course, most people don't
look at that stuff when they're watching Hemlock Grove because no one looks at the Buffalo skyline.
Also, I mean, I worked in downtown Buffalo, so I drove through it every day.
Yeah.
So, and then I got mad because why they gotta make Buffalo look so shitty?
Exactly.
Norman and the PI go into this mental institution place to talk to this old lady. And it is the most rundown, decrepit looking, nasty ass looking place I have ever seen. And I was like, why they gotta do us dirty like that?
I know. I'm like, our facilities are, from what I've heard, are nice. There are also probably.
I mean, I've never been in a mental institution.
Same, but I also don't think it would be how they depicted it on the show.
It was so rough.
Yeah, it was bad.
I felt very attacked.
And like even like the nurse was like, if I ever become like her, please put a bullet right in my head. And I was like,
it was
wow. Say that.
So basically, like they start this conversation and they're like, she had a stroke, she can't talk, she can just grunt when you answer questions, but also like hurry up because she needs a fresh diaper.
Yeah. I'm like, why don't you change her beforehand?
That lady did not enjoy her job.
No.
So they go to ask her, and they show her a picture of a lineup, and they're like, is the woman who killed your parents in this picture? And she starts to like freak out. And then
they start to walk away.
Disgusting thing I've ever seen.
So the PI and Norman are getting like ushered out because like she's starting to get worked up, and like the nurse is like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" So they're starting to walk. She's like, "No, like we hear her like do like a faint like come back," and she puts her hand in her dirty ass diaper and writes with shit on the wall the number 3. And I'm like, "Excuse me? She could have done this? She could have done this?" She went, "Here's some of my shit on the wall for you. Here's a 3.
Right.
And I'm like, you could have just done this.
She couldn't have pointed to the picture. She couldn't have held up 3 fingers. She couldn't have grunted 3 times. Nah. She had to put shit on the wall.
It was so disgusting. I hated that. And then it shows you the lineup paper and take a wild guess at who number 3 is. Our dear Olivia Godfrey.
So then on the car ride back to Hemlock, Leticia, the private eye, is telling Norman that they have to take this to the cops. And he's like, no. And she's like, sorry, you don't have a choice. We're taking it to the cops.
Yeah, and he was like, well, I don't mean to get on your bad side. He's like, she's like, I don't have a bad side. I'm just Dominican. And I was like, oh, shit. All right.
Then we go to the very tippy top of the White Tower.
Wait, real quick before we get into this, because we have to talk about a scene that happened earlier, which we passed. Shelley was looking at the Ouroboros baby,
yes.
And it was mimicking her movements. And then Shelley started to realize that she thinks that this has a soul.
Yeah,
like, oh,
because the girl in the glass tank moved separate from Shelley, like in a response, not a mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we go to the very tippy top of the White Tower, and
Shelley's sitting at the very edge.
Yeah, Shelly is sitting all the way at the top looking down, and she's like, Hemlock Grove looks so peaceful from up here. And Price is like, can you step back a little bit?
Why don't you step back from that ledge,
my friend? Good times with all the lies you've been living in. All right. And
karaoke session with us. I hate it.
And so Shelly's like, listen, I shouldn't have come back. Everybody's in danger because I'm here.
Mm.
And Price is like, no, like, you're fine. We're going to protect you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to put you in the new body. Everything's going to be fine. She's like, you can't put me in the new body because everybody already thinks I'm a killer. And if I do that,
I actually will be.
And he's like, can I show you something first? And so he takes her back down and he does this like neural scan test to show Shelly what her brain looks like when she has emotions, and then show her that the Ouroboros brain doesn't react. And so he's like, does that help you feel better? And Shelly like nods, and he's like, okay, like go get some rest and I'll help prep for tomorrow. And I wrote, Shelly is an angel.
Mm-hmm.
But then Shelly leaves the room and Price replugs the Ouroboros into the computer screen monitor that she was not ever plugged into, and you can see that her brain is fully functioning and reacting with emotion, and Price is a liar.
Yeah. See, and like later on he explains like he wishes that he could fully give her life, but he has a greater deed to provide to Shelly. Because I feel like I think he feels like he
says that I owe her more than anything, but like, why? What do you owe her? Like, not to say that Shelly doesn't deserve, like, I'm not saying that Shelly doesn't deserve to live her life, but like, if this is a fully human soul, what on earth do you owe Shelly that makes it okay to just kill someone?
Yeah. And I think he's looking at it as like, he's part of the reason why she probably looks the way she does. And is the way she is. And I think he, in a weird way, feels partially responsible for it. And now he has a way to fix it and to give her an actual shot at a normal life. And I think that's where he's coming from, which, yes, fucked up in the way that he's killing a person that he basically built from the ground up.
Yeah.
And isn't giving that person their shot at their life because he feels like he's in debt to Shelly.
And
I guess he's so torn because morally it's wrong. But then I'm like, but he's doing it because he just wants to like make Shelly okay. And I'm like, and it makes him like want to either punch him in the face or want to be like, that's really nice, but you're still killing somebody.
See, because we already talked about him saying all this stuff about the dad, I'll just talk about the rest of that scene and we don't have to talk about it later. He pulls the plug and kills this girl. And she dies, like, brain dies, horribly. And I could not watch it.
Yeah, she's, like, pounding on the glass, like, be, like, let out. Because, like, she can feel everything. It's not like she can't. And it's so sad. It's so sad.
And that's what made me so angry about it. It was like, I get Price's motivation, but that was a living person.
Yeah, and like the only thing I have to give Price the benefit of the doubt is that he did explain it to her as to why this is happening. And if she has neurological...
It would be better if somebody came up to you and they were like, listen, like, I don't want to murder you, but like my friend needs your clothes, so I'm going to kill you.
Either way, like, no, it's not right. It's just, that has this, like, put in such like a weird... I'm personally like stuck in a weird spot because I'm like,
I mean, it's hard to come at this from a moral point of view. We're talking about a show where we're rooting for a werewolf and a vampire. Like,
yeah.
But this was very difficult to not have moral feelings about.
And that's fair. I was kind of like, oh, he just said no. Oh, okay. I didn't like that he misled Shelly.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't like that he lied to Shelly.
Yeah, Because Shelley is very trusting with everyone, and I feel like she trusts Price a lot. And he what if
I feel like he's the only person left that she does totally trust, and he just lied to her.
And what if something happens in the transfer where something about the girl that was there is somehow still left there when they transfer, and then she'll know.
Yeah.
Because she's going to find out, regardless if she gets transferred or not into another body. She's going to find out.
Yeah. So then we go back to Roman's house, and Peter is grilling Miranda about her dream and trying to find out all this information. And he's got a dream book, and he's there's a lucky number, blah, 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 talking about all the stuff about dream psychology and stuff. And he gets information from her about her dream, and then he and Roman decode everything. And this is my problem. They have a dream book. And the little boy is on the Little League team called the Hemlock Diablos. So why was episode 5 called Hemlock Diego's Policy Player's Dream Book, when the first time any of that is mentioned is in this episode?
I didn't even think of that. God damn it. Maybe they got... Oh my god, you want to know what? They probably accidentally named the episodes wrong. This episode was probably called The Playbook. And the other one...
But the other thing is the team is the Hemlock Diablos, the Devils, not Diego. So it still doesn't make sense.
Well, shit. Tried.
Yeah. So basically they figure out that the little boy's on the Hemlock Diablos Little League team, so the house has to be in Hemlock Grove, so they go to take care of this.
And Roman has his really big iPad out instead of looking at a laptop or his phone. He has a really unnecessary large iPad. And he's doing all this research on his iPad.
Yeah.
And then he throws it down and they book it out of there. And they're like, oh, you want us to grab you a lottery ticket? You could be lucky. And she was like, no. And then Miranda gets freaking nosy again.
Wait, there's a scene before she gets nosy. So we flash back to the White Tower, and the Dr. Chernobyl and Olivia are having a secret rendezvous in the bathroom, and they're having a conversation. And Dr. Chernobyl's like, listen, I know that there's another person that you could be relying on that is not Roman, so if something were to accidentally go wrong with his final treatment and he were to not become human and just
died,
we could focus on the next step. Now here's the problem with the next step. I do not know a lot about medical science. I've admitted that many times. But the things that I do know, I know pretty well. And Dr. Chernobyl says that she was given an umbilical cord, and in it she looked at the mitochondrial DNA and found a match. Now here's the only problem. The mitochondrial DNA only comes from the mother. You cannot have mitochondrial DNA from your father. So how the fuck does the baby have Olivia's mitochondrial DNA?
Maybe Letha was also Olivia's child.
I think Marie would remember giving birth to her, though.
Yeah, you're right.
So either there's something real shady going on, or the show that has massive amounts of insane science just fucking forgot that you can't have male mitochondrial DNA.
Shit, man. I don't know science. I don't know anything.
I literally paused it when she said that, and I go, time out. I don't think that's correct. I think you can only get mitochondrial DNA for your mom. Googled it, and I was like, oh, I'm correct. Then how the fuck?
Shit, man. But basically, it looks in this scene. It looks like she is contemplating it, but I really don't know what Olivia's going to do, because either she's going to sit and keep trying to fight to fix family with Roman.
But I think Olivia's plans are going to be foiled. Whatever her plan was, by the end of this episode, a series of events that are going to force her to have a different plan are going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Now we go back, and Miranda is getting mad suspicious about these boys and their escapades. And so she goes upstairs and she's talking to the baby. And she said, "Why do boys lie? I thought these two were different." And I wrote, "Girl, these two men lie more than they breathe."
Exactly. And first of all, and it's not like
you just had a fucking threesome with a vampire and a werewolf and you don't know that. They lied to you.
Yeah. And so Miranda finds out where they went because Roman doesn't apparently know how to lock his iPad and or put a passcode on.
What?
I was like, bro, I should, like, Roman should know that Miranda looks through things that she shouldn't supposed to when he came home and found her breastfeeding his child. So, like, clearly, keep your shit you don't want her knowing locked up. So she can't get into it. So she can't know it. Or she will, because she has no sense of boundaries.
It's the fucking stupidness for me.
Exactly. It's the fact that her dumb blonde roots are the cause of her stupidity. And
no, I'm talking about for him.
For Roman, yeah, he is dumb. But Miranda's even dumber.
No, she's not dumb. What she did was not dumb. What she did was nosy as all hell.
Yeah, true. But then after we're irritated with Miranda, we go to Chasseur and Norman and the PI all sitting there giving the evidence from what they found in Buffalo to Chasseur. And Norman's like, you can't believe the babblings of a mentally ill patient saying that they saw a woman who's only in her 40s when she wasn't even alive for the killing. And she's like, well, there was DNA. The PI was like, well, there was DNA found at the crime scene and it matches Olivia's fingerprints. And then Michael should have been like, well, where did you get that DNA from? But no.
No, Michael goes, please, take a seat. Let me educate you.
Y'all motherfuckers know about Pierce? I
said, I'm sorry, he said what?
I'm like, so you're just outing people now. Like, that's your goal. You're just like, here, random people who are normal and don't believe in fairy tales like vampires and werewolves.
But like, bitch, how did he know?
Exactly. I'd be like, bro, what are you talking? Like, did you snort crack before you came in this morning? Like, what?
If it had not been for the end of season 1 and all the shit that went down with the werewolf situation, Norman would not have believed him. But at this point,
and like, just imagine you are going in for a murder case, and nothing stacks up for the evidence. Because the mental patient, it's a mentally ill patient who they think doesn't remember things, so they're writing with shit on their walls. And then also the person that they're allegedly convicting wasn't alive at the time of the murder. And then they sit down and go, they're a vampire. And they just tell you, vampire, that's what they are.
I don't.
Then after this scene, Norman heads on over to Olivia.
Nope. Then Peter and Roman find the house.
Oh, yeah.
And they
Why
knock on
not write any of that part down?
They knock on the door, and the mom is like, hi, can I help you? And as they open the door, the little boy starts screaming, and they just push the mom out of the way and just run up the stairs to the boy, like, which was disconcerting for her, but like in the long run worked out, because then they get the boy and they wrap him in a blanket, they pull him out, they give him to his parents, and get him out of there, which hopefully the speed at which they did that, because he did get stung, so hopefully the speed at which they got him to his parents and out of the room, he will be able to get to the hospital fast enough. Fingers crossed. And then they chase after the two masked cult guys who are chilling there, and Peter wolfs out to chase them, and he's attacking them. And Roman grabs a shovel, and he's like, Peter, don't do this alone. And also runs. And then Peter kills one of the dudes, and Roman kills the other dude, and then Peter unwolfs and is laying bloody in the snow, and Roman's just like laying over him to make sure he's okay. But then turns out Miranda fucking followed them there and sees them laying covered in blood with the dead bodies.
Yep. Because she can't keep her fucking nose out of shit that she doesn't belong in. Because she's a dumbass. And has no sense of boundaries. Like, how can you be so curious to completely not... yeah, they've slept together. They're not dating. She came and lived at Roman's because her car broke down. What place do you have in any of his life? Like,
nothing. She has no place. None.
Like, then she needs to stop
she thinks just because her titties started leaking, she's owed some shit.
Exactly. And that pisses me off. Like, I'm getting actually mad about this because she is sitting there acting like this is normal. Like, she is acting like it's okay to be completely intrusive on someone else's life. And where the fuck does she get off? Because there's no way that she can be. And for it to be normal. Like, there's one thing about being curious, like you look through someone's medicine cabinet, but then there's another thing by going into a private room that has a code on it that you shouldn't have to be being nosy and going into. And then also looking through their electronics when they're not in a relationship with them. What place do you have to
looking through their electronics, period? I don't care if you're in a relationship or not. Like, you don't just go through people's stuff.
Oh no, exactly. And like, what do you... Anyway, because I'll continue this rant in literally 2 seconds. But after this whole thing goes down, Norman pays Olivia a visit, and he's very angry.
She says, Norman, there you are. I've missed you. I've had a wretched day. And he just grabs her and bends her over and starts fucking her from behind.
He literally, like, angrily fucked her. Like, he was, like, mad.
And I was like, oh, that was some angry sex.
I was like...
It was, like, borderline rape.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh. Well, there you go. There's that. And then they wake up and they're, like, laying there together. And then Norman gets up while she's asleep, grabs his jacket, and there's a tube in this jacket, and he goes to one of Olivia's hairbrushes and pulls a hair.
Very glad he went to the hairbrush, because I was worried about where he was going to get the DNA.
Yeah. He went to the hairbrush, pulled out the piece of hair, and went, plink, close, put it back in his jacket, and just kind of sat there. And
I wrote, how could you? How dare you?
And, but mind you, while this is happening, it's cutting between two scenes with, like, this this crazy music going on between someone taking Nadia, which is now the name of Roman's baby.
Oh, yeah, they named her last episode.
So between Nadia and Norman taking the hair sample,
Nadia's being kidnapped.
And I knew who it was before they showed who was in the car.
I did not. I had a guess, but I wasn't 100% sure. At
first, we just saw her getting taken. And
TBH, I thought it was Dr. Chernobyl kidnapping her for Olivia.
I didn't know who it was. At first, I was like, is this a cult? But there's no way. No. And then...
my thoughts went cult, Dr. Chernobyl, and then by the time I figured out who it was, they showed us.
The reason why I figured out who it was, when they're putting the baby in the car, you see their hair color.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I was like, oh my God. Fucking Miranda!
So Miranda kidnaps the baby.
Who does this woman think she is? That is not your kid. It is not your job or your place to make that decision. You are a kidnapper, and I hope Roman kills your ass.
Like, if you don't think the baby is safe, call CPS. Call the authorities. You don't kidnap the baby.
Exactly. And I'm like, She thinks she's so entitled to something in this world that she's created. Like, I feel like it's all in her head. I'm like, you don't fit. There was always something about Miranda that just doesn't fit.
I don't trust her. I don't like her.
This episode really made me not like Miranda for simply how
This episode made me not like anyone.
I think you guys know punching in the face this week.
I told Monica I had a top 5 list of who I was punching in the face.
And I guessed them all, except for one.
But that was mostly because you couldn't remember her name.
Yeah, true.
In 5th place is the private eye, Leticia, because, like, bitch, no.
Yeah.
In 4th place is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just shady as fuck and I'm done with him. In 3rd place is Johan, because he lied to Shelley and he killed that innocent girl. In 2nd place is Norman, because how dare you?
Yeah.
And in 1st place is Miranda. And I don't need to explain that. She is a piece of shit.
Exactly. And I'm right there. Mary Kate, I want to punch Miranda really badly. And I also really didn't like that still frame thing they did at the end.
The way they ended it, yeah. The graphics on how they ended it was whack.
Like, she looks freaking weird. Her eyes aren't the same shape. Like, what? Anyway. Yeah, so Miranda, she can get punched.
Oh, also speaking of Miranda, something that was super weird in her dream in the opening scene when she was looking at Roman and Peter and she was freaking out. Why did her eyes turn the same color crazy blue as the baby's?
I don't know, and I don't want to think about it because I don't think she's special, and I'm not going to give her that time to make.
She's not. You're not special.
Yeah, we really don't like Miranda anymore. We just really.
I never liked her. I've been bitching about her for 7 episodes.
That is also very true.
I wonder how many times I wrote I hate her or I don't trust her. I'm not going to count, but more than 5.
And then saving grace, Shelley. Because she's just so innocent and she can't do anything wrong, and she honestly has a good moral compass.
Shelley and the concept of Roman and Peter as lovers.
Yes.
Without Miranda.
Yeah,
fuck that
Miranda.
bitch.
The worst character ever written to this fucking show, and we dealt with Clementine last season. I was wrong. And we dealt with Christine last season. I was so wrong.
My God, I would kill to have Christina back.
Yeah, I would rather deal with Christina's weird, ambiguous bullshit than Miranda being so intrusive on everyone else's life where she doesn't belong.
Right.
Like, you're literally.
Can you imagine? Think about 2 months ago when we would get so angry at just the mention of Clementine and Christina. And now we've got fucking Michael and Miranda.
I hate them. I hate both of them so much. Because Michael just doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I don't even think he knows at this point. We don't even think he knows if he's working for himself, if he's working for Lod, if he's helping Peter. I think he's in it for one thing, and that's know what happened to Clementine, but there is nothing to give him any proof that Clementine has been killed by anyone in that town. There has been zero proof that has come up about that. And
except for that some old stupid dude told you Roman did it. That's his only proof, that the bishop said it was Roman. And that Roman's kind of a dick.
And he's correct about Roman being a dick, but Roman didn't kill Clementine.
Fact.
He didn't even know what he was in order to kill Clementine.
You know, I'm angry now.
Same. I just wanted to be all calm and relaxed after watching. And you want to know what's weird? I'm not angry because the episode is bad. I'm just angry because the characters made me angry, and I've never felt this way about some of the characters on the show before, which is good writing, good acting. But
yeah, no. This anger comes from a place of actually being invested enough in the show to be angry. But also, I'm angry.
Yep, we are. I was just trying to have a
I
nice.
hope Olivia kills everyone.
Same. Honestly, same. Just except Peter and Roman,
obviously.
Yep. Honestly, I hope Price doesn't die because I just think he had a lapse in judgment this episode. I just think this episode showed his bad side. I started to like Price. I didn't like him in the first season. I've started to really like him.
You guys know I've always been Team Price, but this episode just was really difficult for me.
So I hope like Olivia doesn't kill Price. But I just wanted to have a nice recording session, talk, have a few laughs, have a little bit of fun, and then when the episode was over, I'd be so calm and relaxed. I could just like go lay back down, watch the Barbie Diaries, and eat my pizza.
See, but at least you're gonna eat pizza and watch the Barbie Diaries to calm you down. I'm gonna figure out why my dad called me and then try to sleep. What?
Yeah.
Oh. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at @DothanAliens. You can email us at dothanaliens.com. No, at dothanaliens@gmail.com. Hopefully you also hate Miranda because then we can be friends.
Yep.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EMKAY_superstar. And if you do follow me on Instagram or Twitter because of the podcast, like send me a DM and let me know who you are because I get creeps following me on Instagram all the time and I'm not going to follow them back.
Yo, same. Also, you can find me on Instagram at monica.lynn_ and on Twitter at mon_lynn. And do what Mary Kate said. If you follow me because you've been listening to the podcast, let me know who you are. Let me know that you listen to the podcast. Let me know that you like it. Be a fun time. I'm really sorry that this was such an angry episode. So if you're watching this in the morning with like your cup of coffee, like I know Courtney does, I'm really sorry that you're going to be this angry and start your day off like this.
Also, like I know Courtney, and when she watched the episode before she watched our episode, I'm sure she was also angry. So like now she's just angry in solidarity with us.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Courtney. Thanks for being angry with us. We can always count on you.
All right, we will see you
Next week for episode 8.
Hold on. We will see you next week for episode 8, but also this episode will be dropping on December 20th. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, this episode drops December 20th, so it'll be our last episode before Christmas Day.
Oh my God. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a nice holiday. We'll see you.
Enjoy yourself, and hopefully wherever you are, there's snow, because I will definitely not be seeing snow.
Oh, there's no snow here. Shocking.
You have 13 days. No. Well, before Christmas, yes. You have 13 days for it to snow. The lowest it has ever been in Bangkok while I lived here was 75 degrees.
That's a no from me, dog.
Bye-bye.
Bye.